Hello everyone, this is a different video than what you're used to, but I created a language for my FNAF TLAU, and today I'm going to be showing you how to write in it. So the first letter that we're starting off with is the letter A in the animatronic language of Endython. It's one of the more simpler letters. It's much easier to write than the other ones. Please ignore this awkward amount of time that's about to come up. I forgot my cheat sheet, so I needed to get my cheat sheet so I could show you how these letters are supposed to sound in the animatronic language.
Your sweet little eyes, your little smile is all I remember. Those fuzzy memories mess with my temper. Justification is killing me, but killing isn't justified. What happened to my soul? I'm terrified. It lingers in my mind and that thought keeps on getting bigger. I'm sorry, my sweet baby, I wish I'd been.
Okay, this is when I finally got my cheat sheet, and the letter A in Endython sounds like yim. So the next letter that we're going to be tackling is the letter B. This is a more difficult letter. So you're gonna see me mess up a bit and restart. That is a trash B. So what the letter B sounds like in Endython is mo, like the little robot from WALL-E. The next letter that we're going to be doing is the letter C. C is another more difficult letter, but it's really fun because loop. The letter C in Endython sounds like K. Don't get it confused with K.
Once I get my second chance, I won't leave you alone. Oh yeah, I hope you die in a fire.
Next letter is the letter D. This is their more difficult letter. And I'm going to mess it up again. Woo! The letter D sounds like lem, which is very different from how D sounds like in English. Next letter is the letter E, and before we get to E, I'm just going to tell you now I'm going to forget F and then come back to it later. The letter E sounds like free. Like free stuff. Since I'm forgetful, we're skipping to G. Instead of doing F like I should have. G is another more difficult letter, but it's easier once you get the hang of it. The letter G sounds like goo, like how pigeons sound. The next letter that we're doing is the letter H. It's a more simpler letter. Honestly, all the triangle-shaped letters are easier. The letter H sounds like toe. Like a toe on your foot. This was when I was realizing that I forgot the letter F. Enjoy the tiny, angry doodle.
Really quite surprised we get to see you another night. You should have looked for another job. You should have said to this place goodbye.
Okay, now we're doing the letter F. F is another one of the more simpler letters. Honestly, all the triangle and square-shaped letters minus S are pretty easy. And F sounds like la. Like that one Teletubby Lala. Okay, the next letter is the letter I, and cool thing about I in Endython is that it's also the letter U. The reason behind this is because I messed up making a template, and I said, screw it, they use I as U. And U and I sound like low. Like low self-esteem. Something I 100% don't have. The next letter is the letter J. This is one of the more difficult letters, and when writing it, I suggest lifting up your pencil a bit, instead of just like doing a one continuous line. Honestly, you can just pick up your pencil whenever, just make sure that the line continues when you write Endython. The letter J sounds like gin. I believe that gin is a type of booze, or the best comparison is ginger ale. Just without the rail. The next letter is the letter K. K is another more simpler letter. Honestly, all the letters that have sharp lines are much easier than the ones that are more rounded off. And the letter K sounds like crap. Like crap without the P. The next letter I'm going to teach you how to write is the letter L. This is one of the most easiest letters. It's just 2 lines and 2 dots. And L sounds like die. Like how I'm dying inside doing this video. I'm self-conscious about my voice. This next letter is the letter M, and M sounds like Lynn. This letter is the letter N, and it sounds very different from M. It sounds like rah-rah. Like that one lyric from Rasputin. This is the letter O, and it is one hell of a thing to write. You don't have to do that little blind thing I just gave up on retrying. The letter O sounds like she, 'cause she pretty. Honestly, I think the O's are the prettiest ones out of this language. The next letter that we're doing is the letter P. It's another more difficult letter, because again, the round ones are always the hardest. And P sounds like ma. The next letter we're doing is the letter Q. It's another more difficult letter, and it looks like O, except for that line thing. And Q sounds like sum, like a sum of money. The next letter we're doing is R. Again, it looks like P, except that little thing is outward, and R sounds like foe. This is the letter S, and it's one of the most difficult letters in Endython. As you can tell, it's easier to get lost in this maze of a letter. And the letter S sounds like ka. This is the letter T. It is much harder to write compared to other letters, as you can tell, and it sounds like zez. This next letter is the letter V because we have already done the letter U. And V sounds like chin, like the chin on your face. This is the letter W, and it's a lot of fun to do. It's one of the more simpler letters. And the letter W sounds like ah. This is the letter X. It's one of the more harder letters. And the letter X sounds like straw. The letter Y is another harder letter, so don't get upset if you mess it up. I messed it up a couple times. The letter Y sounds like flow. The last capital letter that we're going to be doing in this video is the letter Z. Z is another more difficult letter because of how shaped it is. And this is going to be, I believe, a 3-part video, unless I decide to break it off even more. But the letter Z sounds like tem. And that is pretty much it for the capital letters. I will do lowercase letters in the next video, and then after that I will do simple words. That's how you say goodbye in Endython. Bye guys!